All right, let's talk about rituals. Why is ritual important? It's called a standard operating procedure in the company, right? That's a ritual or a ceremony. For example, you go to church, let's say if you're Roman Catholic, you attend Mass. Come on, you guys. I used to be Catholic when I was in the Philippines. I was Catholic. I was even an altar boy once. I don't know why they never asked me to do it again. I didn't qualify. Who knows? I remember, what do you do? When it comes to a Mass, unless they changed it, there's only like 2 or 3 things that are different. The reading of the epistles, the reading of the gospel, and the sermon. Everything else, you have offertory, you have communion, you have this, you have that. In fact, you have this book. You say this, the priest say that. The priest say this, you say that, right? You go, well, it's the same thing. Well, I could just stay home and you blah, 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 blah. No, there's a certain effect. Right? Here's another one. If you're from India, you call it a puja, right? Oh, it's a special occasion. We first pour ghee, we chant a mantra to Lord Ganesha, the elephant-headed looking deity, and then we do to Lakshmi, and this. There's always a syntax or an order. Or Harry Potter, right? They call it ceremonial magic. You wear a certain garb, you face a certain direction, you light a certain incense, you burn certain herbs, you do this, step 1, step 2, it's like chemistry. This one, pour this, pour that, poof! And you have to follow it because there's a spell. What is a spell? The spell is you say this verse and this one and this one. You cannot jumble it up because it won't work. Why? Because every time you have a routine, a ritual, a ceremony, you're generating a certain type of energy that leads you to the next type of energy, that leads up to the next energy until you get to your objective. It's just like factory. You cannot say, the conveyor belt's going to this way. No, I'll skip this one. You're going to come up with crappy goods. There has to be a ritual. So that said, since we're dealing with how to remove this fabric, consciousness, thoughts, anger, feeling of unworthiness, the tendency to procrastinate, all these thoughts and emotions that are filling up or that prevents us from being successful, you cannot say, today I feel like working on this. Let me visualize. Okay, that's good enough. And tomorrow, I don't feel like it. It's not going to work. There has to be what? Systematic technique. True? So that said, take a look. The power of ritual is divided into 2. The conscious purging of negative thought forms and emotional forms. The conscious imprinting of positive thought forms and emotional forms. You see that? Okay. Just in case, I'm still here. Okay. Let's take a look at the screen. Conscious purge. You see, a lot of people say, oh yeah, erase, cancel. But they just do it now and then. It doesn't work. It has to be conscious, consistent purging, which includes what? Number 1, identifying what that negative trait is. Number 2, Number 2 is what? Disidentify. I'll cover that in a second. Number 3, you need to extract it and you need to let it go. Okay? So, identify means, I do notice that if I gently meditate, remember Zen, awareness? Yeah, the last 20 years, I seem to see a pattern. Every time I'm hitting a certain level of success, I start feeling guilty. Or I start feeling like, is this really happening to me? Maybe I'm not worthy of it. Maybe I'm just lucky, but it's running out. Anybody had that experience before? But if you don't take the time to practice awareness, it's just going from seminar to workshop, and then what happens? After 20, 30, those go, yeah, that worked, but nothing. Get the idea? So you have to first identify, what is it? Yeah, I do notice I have that pattern because I saw people have it when I was growing up, or I just noticed that's why. So you have to practice ruthless self-honesty. Identify it. Now, you notice where it says disidentify. Disidentify is where the soul comes in. This is what makes this unique compared to most prosperity traditions. Most people say, oh, let's just be positive and we do this. That's good and great. But again, remember, who created those negative thoughts in the first place? If you don't go back to the source, it's just like the way my teacher says, you keep putting out the fire, you never caught the arsonist. Right? So let's say we'll actually practice. I'm just giving you a framework, and we're going to practice the heck out of it, because tonight I don't want to just say, oh, that's nice, that's interesting. Okay, I took it. I want you to actually practice and see results. Okay, then if you want to continue, we have other means for you to continue. But for now, I want you to really pay full attention. So first you identify. Let's start with one of them. Let's say, I don't feel worthy because for whatever reason, it never lasts. If it did, it goes away. Maybe I'm not worthy of it, or I'm not good enough. Sounds familiar? So, okay, let's identify. That must be it. The next thing you need to do is disidentify. We say, what do you mean by disidentify? Let's go back. I created those thoughts, right? I created those emotions, whether from the circumstances around me, or I heard it, or it just was within me somehow. Next thing you do is like this. These thoughts and emotions are not the I. Think about it. Let's take the negative emotion. Let's say that unworthiness or not good enough. That's a thought and emotion melted in one. Before I ask you to think about it, it's nowhere to be found. It's in there somewhere, whatever, right? When I ask you to think about it, go, yeah, at that time I this and this. So in other words, the I created it. Do you realize how powerful that is? That means if I can create it and I'm conscious of it, I think you're getting it. I now have a choice not to create it again. And not only do I not want to create it again, I can purge this out of my system so it stops whispering crap in my ear. Get the idea? So you identify, this feeling of not being good enough, unworthiness. Then you go like this. These thoughts, emotions, I created them before, but they're not me. I choose to create something else. So it loses its power from you. In Buddhist terms, you are now disentangled. So imagine if you keep disentangling a lot of these thoughts and emotions out of your aura, like you lost a job because of whatever, and you're feeling this, you disentangled. What do you think happens? There's a temporary vacuum. Then you stuff yourself with the thoughts that you want. Isn't that simple? So identify, disidentify, extract, and release it. And we're going to practice it. Remember, you need energy to remove energy. Okay? So that's the part on conscious purge. Now, you don't want to stop there, because you want to now populate your aura with positive thoughts and emotions that work in the background like an algorithm, just keeps pushing you to success. So when a situation comes up, boom, you move in that direction. All right. Conscious imprint. Now the question is, why did we call it an imprint? An imprint is like this. In pranic crystal healing, one of the things that you were taught, or when you take the class, is every time you get a crystal, a gemstone, a pendant, ring, whatever, we're always taught, make sure you clear it. Remove the old energy in it. What do you mean? You notice, like, if you have a nice piece of jewelry or something nice that you're wearing, and you go into a place, I don't know, maybe at work, and there's this guy you don't like. He's kind of, weirdo, strange, whatever. And they look at you, hey, Mary, how are you? That's a nice pendant. You go, you had that experience? Of course, pre-COVID times. Okay? Pre-COVID times. Anyway, so what are you going, well, I don't like their vibe. All right, let's start with that. Define your vibe, their vibration. What's a vibration? It's the thingy that comes off them. You're talking about that thingy energy thingy. Yeah. Where did that come from? Well, they're kind of weird. They talk funny. They think funny. They act. So those are the thoughts and emotions they create. Yeah. That's what it is. Guess what? That's what you call a psychic imprint. Clear? So from the mind to the store, I was asking one of our students who's a jeweler. He said there's at least 60 to 100 people that touched that gemstone before you bought it. How many of those people do you think are experiencing inner peace and stillness 24 hours a day? Okay, you're lucky if it's one. The rest, everyday people putting their imprint in it. Make sense? That's why you have to clear it. Now, knowing that, what if you can use the same process to create the thoughts and emotions that are prosperous and imprint it to yourself. Oh, okay. Right? Imprint it. Now, as you go about your business, anytime you want to practice awareness, because those are the thoughts floating in your aura, what is the natural tendency for you to do? Be aware of the negativity or the positive stuff. And if you're more positive, which direction do you think your life have a tendency to move? Exactly. So that's why if you look at this page again, this power of ritual consists of both conscious purging and conscious imprinting. Conscious purging is to identify, disidentify, extract and release all the negative energies, and consciously imprint positive ones to replace the ones that you got rid of, reinforce it, and put booster rockets in it. Why do things mildly? Look, remember, big fish eat small fish. Right? You heard that in the sea. So big thought forms eat up small ones. So you keep purging out the negative ones. And then when you create positive ones, you pack it with so much energy to make up for the time that it's just newly made. Clear? All right. Now that you understand the process, now you go, why did you go through all this time explaining? Let's just do it. Look, without understanding the process, you will miss one thing, which is just as important. Certainty it works. Because oftentimes people tell me, oh, just trust me. Some of you are very loving, very trusting. Some people like me who are overthinking everything. I'm an engineer. So I go, well, I don't know about the process. There's a gap between here and trust me. Tell me the process. If I understand the process, I go, I'm on board. Make sense? That's why we took the time to understand it. Plus, there's one more. If you understand how you created those negative thoughts and those positive thoughts, then you can stop yourself halfway or early part when you have the awareness and watching yourself creating those negative thoughts. And if you notice you're being positive, you can now reinforce the heck out of it because you know, this is what I want. If there's no awareness, then guess what? You're like a boat thrown into the ocean with no rudder, no motor. It's like, whatever the waves take me. Make sense? Why call yourself the captain of your destiny if you have no motor, no rudder? Make sense?